Oh, this is like a video.
Yes, that's okay.
Oh, you're on camera.
How's my makeup?
It's good. I can give you a little bit of change.
So what we found that the Alcapra itself is of different types. The most common type of Alcapra is when the anomalous coronary that feeds the left side of the heart comes off the main body of the pulmonary artery, which is here. But in his case, it actually came off a branch of the pulmonary artery, which is the right pulmonary artery. And the main pulmonary artery is much bigger, and once it branches, those branches become like, for him, when he was a newborn, they were about 3 millimeters in diameter. And the coronary artery is so important that you would rather take a big chunk off the right pulmonary artery to make sure that the coronary artery doesn't have a problem. Because if the coronary artery has a problem in the future, it's fatal because it affects the heart function.
Yeah.
So Dr. Langley and I, we knew at the outset that we had to either vote for the RPA or vote for the coronary. It couldn't be both. So we took a big chunk of the right pulmonary artery and then gave that and augmented the coronary artery and made a good generous coronary artery patch, which thankfully has been okay, which kind of compromised the RPA because what was left of his main RPA was just a little stringy piece of vessel. So we had to make that bigger by using a homograph patch. And then the aortic arch also we augmented. And I am honestly kind of surprised that there is some narrowing in the aorta. Now, if this was his only problem, I don't think we would be very aggressive with surgery. Dr. Birch would keep trying to dilate it because it's usually scar tissue that forms around the site, and scar tissue is more dilatable. But since he has a problem with the RPA and we're going to go into the operating room anyway, we thought the best course of action is to do both. So the patch on the aorta starts from somewhere here, and then it's all along the underbelly of the aorta, and then it's stitched all the way to somewhere to the middle portion of his aorta. So it's a big patch that starts here in the arch, and then kind of.
And that was the patch to expand it.
Expand the aorta.
Okay.
Yeah. And at the place where the patch joins the aorta, there seems to be some narrowing now. And then the right pulmonary artery that we made bigger, because we took away a chunk of the RPA in order to make the coronary artery bigger, that patch has narrowed somewhere near the origin of the pulmonary artery. But the fact is, we were not super happy with the way the patch was even during the time of surgery, because we knew that the artery was small and we were limited by his size and how fragile his blood vessels were. So we knew that his RPA is going to have a problem, and we were hoping that the cath would take care of his RPA problem. But if time comes and we need to do something about it, we thought we can always go in and take that patch out or cut into the patch and put another one and make it bigger. So we kind of knew that he was not fully out of the woods when it came to the pulmonary artery. The aorta is a bit of a surprise. It usually doesn't behave that way. But as I said, if that was the only problem, we may not consider surgery that much. But since we know it is there, we'll take care of that too in the same setting. So it is kind of a big procedure for a little kid, and he's going to go through it twice. But I'm optimistic that we'll be able to safely take him through both these patches. Because the right pulmonary artery is kind of narrow and the dye squeaks through it, we only can get so much information about how the right pulmonary artery looks from Dr. Birch's images. So a lot of it's going to depend on what we see in the operating room tomorrow. So he'll have to go on the heart-lung machine, the cardiopulmonary bypass again. So we'll go through the middle of his chest again, reopen his bone. And as traumatic as it sounds, a lot of kids, unfortunately, a segment of the kids go through multiple surgeries. So it doesn't hamper the way the bone heals, or it doesn't make his bone weaker for the future. So what's going to be challenging for us is opening somebody's chest a first time and opening somebody's chest a second or subsequent time are way different. They're almost like two totally different operations. Because first time everything is pristine, nothing stuck to anything else. Second time, there's a lot of scar tissue around the heart, and sometimes the heart itself is stuck to the back of the breastbone, and the lungs kind of are wrapped around and they are stuck to the heart, and the diaphragm, which is the breathing muscle, is also stuck to the bottom part of the heart.
From surgery, or is
Yeah.
that the normal?
Yeah, it's just from surgery. It's just the body's reaction to any contained space that you violate. It just
Pulls back together.
pulls back. It just everything sticks to everything. So a good part of surgery. Let's say he goes into the operating room at 7:30 tomorrow, and by the time our anesthesiology colleagues get him all set up, after putting all the lines and the breathing tube, and then we have to do an intraoperative echo to exactly find out pre-surgery and post-surgery. All that takes about, let's say, a maximum of hour and a half. So by 9, if we start operating, there's a good chance that it's going to take us about an hour just to open this chest and get everything dissected out.
As opposed to last time, how long did that part take?
10 minutes.
Okay.
So it is
I
a
see,
pretty,
okay.
it's a pretty big difference.
Okay.
And the older you are, the more difficult it is. Younger kids, smaller kids, it's a little bit easier. But then it is, the fact is, we're dealing with a very different surgical field than the first time. And then we'll have to hook them onto the heart-lung machine, and then stop the heart and then work on it. So there's a good chance we'll transect the aorta so we can get a good look at the right pulmonary artery that travels beneath the aorta. And then, open the pulmonary artery, snip away any scar tissue. And then now that this pulmonary artery is bigger, we can put in a nice patch. And the good thing is he only needs a short segment of patch. Right after, beyond the zone where our patch ends, the pulmonary artery plumps up very nicely. It's normal tissue, so we just have to provide a good segment of the tissue, and then we'll also cut into his aorta and then put in another patch. So it's going to be a couple of patchworks tomorrow, but I'm confident we'll be able to take him through it. And any patch you put in, there's always a risk of what if it happens in the future. I think a lot of it also has to do with how small the sizes were during the time the patch was placed. He's a bigger kid, the structures are going to be bigger now. And as long as there is some native tissue that will continue to grow to compensate for the lack of growth that the patch brings along, I think he should be okay. But that depends on how much native tissue we see tomorrow. Because on imaging, you don't know where the patch stops and where the native tissue begins. It's not until we open this pulmonary artery that we know. If it so happens that most of the tissue is patch and there's just a thin strip of native tissue that's left behind, then the risk of him outgrowing the patch remains. But then bigger kids, bigger patch, there's a higher chance that we'll be able to balloon dilate him in the future. So I'm hopeful. I hope this is going to be his last heart surgery. But we'll see. I'm sure you guys have heard that before.
Well, I mean, yeah, I understand. We're all always hopeful.
Yeah, I'm pretty hopeful.
Sounds like last time you had a really good idea that,
Yeah, we were not happy with the way the pulmonary
Yeah.
artery was, but we don't have choices, right? I mean, the coronary artery is so important because if the coronary artery is gone, your heart is gone.
yeah.
So we had to devote as much tissue as we can to the coronary artery.
Yeah.
So the expense of compromising the right pulmonary artery, we took as much tissue as we can to provide a good coronary artery.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad that part of it has really worked. Because coronary artery doesn't have a problem. The contrast dye that we inject just freely flows into it. The heart functions normally. But this is a byproduct. This is collateral damage.
Mm-hmm.
So this time we had to go back and address the collateral damage that we created.
And probably after the surgery tomorrow, you'll have a good idea of how that went and whether or not.
Right. What's the chance for the future? Yeah. So we'll let you know. So it's a fairly intense surgery for somebody his size, but still, I fully expect him to do very well after the procedure. I expect that his heart function will bounce back to normal within a day or two. Anybody that has a long surgery on the heart-lung machine, the cardiac function gets depressed temporarily and then it comes back up. Hey, this is Dr. Shen.
Hi there.
Yeah.
and
These
I thought I talked to you guys on phone.
Yes, I'm Michael.
Hi, Irving Shen.
Okay.
This is Aspen.
Yep.
All right.
He's busy
He loves
typing away.
computers, yeah.
So we were just at the part where I told them that we were not happy with how the RPM when
Right.
they looked at it right previous time, but we had to take as much tissue as we could to provide a good button for the cornering. So there's not much of native RPA left posteriorly by the time we did the patch. So this time around, we're going to do the same thing. We'll probably end up transiting the editor, right? And then flaying open the RPA.
Yeah.
And then we'll put another patch and
So there's really two issues. One is the right blood vessel, which blood your right lung is narrow. There's a long segment that's pretty narrow. And then the other part that's narrow is her aorta, where where they reimplant the coronary buttons, two ends back together. That's narrow. So we'll address both that today. Tomorrow. And one of the concern I had was that because that right pulmonary artery sits right behind the aorta, is that, and this is all very close to that coronary button, is whether we have room to work and whether part of that narrowing is because the aorta compress on that right pulmonary artery. And when we looked at the study twice now, both last Friday as well as before, a few weeks ago, before I talked to you guys on the phone, that I think we can potentially, there's space above the right pulmonary artery that we can put a patch on to balloon that out and make that bigger. Now down the road, whether that patch will scar down and narrow, but the concern is that if we were to balloon and dilate that right pulmonary artery, it can compress on the coronary artery.
Use your phone.
But if we built that up and where there's more room above and down the road, that may be something that we can do without surgical intervention. And then the aorta, same thing, is that we'll try to put a patch on the front to allow room for the front for blood flow to go, and so that it won't compress posteriorly on the right pulmonary artery. So there's room for us to move both up above and in the front to try to solve this problem. So that's what we plan on doing tomorrow. We'll go through the same incisions before. And once again, for us to do this kind of repair, we'll have to put it on the Heartland machine. And so there'll be scar tissue from the previous surgery we have to deal with. And sometimes getting back in the chest can be challenging because of the previous scar tissue from previous surgery. So anyway,
So can we just look at where is the coronary, where is it coming to the aorta? Is it on the backside?
So here's the pulmonary artery, and you can see that this pulmonary artery divides into two, goes to the left lung, and in the back here, this thing right here,
That's the artery.
which is goes behind the aorta, goes in the RPA, and the aorta is right here. So she's narrow right here, and she's narrow right here. Sorry.
Okay.
And it's also narrow in the right pulmonary artery behind this part.
Okay. And that's, okay, and,
And the coronary artery button is behind the aorta. So if you open this up, it's right where this is. If you just punch through in the back, that's
Okay.
where you see how all these things are all around the same place.
I'm just recording this for aunts and grandparents and stuff, so.
and ourselves.
And ourselves, yeah. But
So anyway, that's the plan for us, is that we'll go in, put him on by the Heartland machine. What we'll do is we'll stop the heart and we will divide this in half, open it up, and that will then give us the big look at the right pulmonary artery. We'll fix that first, and then we will then fix this when we put it back together.
I'm amazed that you guys can do what you do.
We haven't done it yet, but
Well, you've done it, yeah.